Ever try picturing a world without any shape? Just completely swallowed by darkness. That's kind of where we're starting this deep dive, the very first chapter of Genesis. It's a famous creation story.
More than just famous, I'd say. This story is foundational, really. It's echoed in cultures all over the globe, each one trying to answer those really big questions, Where did it all come from? And what's our place in all of this?
Yeah, we're talking about the universe itself here, right? And in Genesis, it all starts with this incredible act, light bursting forth from the darkness. And then across those first 3 days, this real pattern emerges.
Like a divine blueprint, unfolding, God speaks, and things just leaped into being, the separation of sky and water, the emergence of land, even vegetation appearing. And each step of the way, there's that declaration, it was good.
This repetition, it's almost hypnotic, isn't it? But it also feels very deliberate, purposeful.
Absolutely. Imagine those early listeners, hearing this story passed down. Through generations, the repetition really kind of emphasizes God's power there, that sheer act of creation, through words. It's a powerful storytelling technique, wouldn't you say? Building that sense of awe and authority.
That's like a master craftsperson, I imagine, meticulously shaping raw materials into something new, something incredible. Speaking of which, have you ever tried tackling a project from scratch? It's that same impulse, right? To bring order to chaos.
Precisely. That longing for structure, for meaning in a world that can feel very chaotic a lot of the time. It's deeply rooted in the human experience, I think. And Genesis captures this beautifully, showing us a world being sculpted from this state of formlessness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like the story shifts gears. We go from these grand, sweeping pronouncements to the very specific placement of the sun and moon and stars on days 4 through 6.
It's a move from that cosmic canvas, those intricate details, wouldn't you say? Almost like setting the stage for life to emerge.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about placing those celestial bodies either. We also have sea creatures and birds and land animals all appearing in this meticulous order.
And this is where we see the significance of light and darkness.
Yeah.
Established in those very first moments, right? The sun and moon, they aren't just there for decoration. They're given this very specific purpose of governing day and night.
Let them be for signs to mark seasons, days, and years, as the text says. It's like the universe itself becomes this giant timekeeping device.
It makes you think about how crucial that would have been, for ancient civilizations, relying on the heavens for navigation, for agriculture, even their understanding of time itself. It's incredible.
Yeah, we can barely get a grip on our schedules
Yeah.
with a smartphone in hand. It really highlights how much we take for granted.
But more than just practicality, those celestial rhythms would have been a source of wonder, wouldn't you say? A testament to the order and predictability, woven into the very fabric of creation.
It's like the stage is set, the clock is ticking, and then bam, day 6 arrives. And we get the most fascinating creation of all. Humans, made in the image of God. Now that's a phrase that sparked endless debate, right? What does it even mean to be made in the image of God?
Loaded with meaning, that's for sure. Throughout history, theologians and scholars, they've really pondered its significance. Some point to our capacity for reason, our ability to think abstractly and to make moral judgments. Others focus on our creative spirit, that spark of innovation that drives us to shape and reshape the world around us.
Yeah, it's like we're reflecting some aspect of the divine.
Yeah.
But what aspect? Right, maybe it's a combination of all these things and more. Really makes you think about what makes us uniquely human.
And with this unique status comes a unique responsibility too, at least according to Genesis. Humans are given dominion over all living things. Another word that's open to interpretation.
Dominion. Yeah, it's a word that carries weight, almost a sense of authority, but also potentially responsibility. How have you seen this concept of dominion interpreted throughout history?
That's a great question. There's a whole spectrum of interpretations out there. On one end, you have the view of dominion as absolute control, a license to exploit nature for human gain. And this perspective has often been used to justify, unfortunately, environmental degradation and the abuse of natural resources.
Yeah, we've seen that play out in some pretty devastating ways.
We have. But on the other end of the spectrum, dominion is understood as stewardship, a sacred duty to care for creation, to act as guardians of the natural world. This perspective emphasizes things like harmony and balance, and respect for the interconnectedness of all living things.
So it's not necessarily about ruling over nature then, but living in harmony with it, almost like a gardener tending their garden.
Precisely. And it's a question we still grapple with today, isn't it? How do we exercise our influence on this planet responsibly? What does it mean to be good stewards of this earth? especially in the face of challenges like climate change and the loss of biodiversity.
It's a big question, maybe the biggest one we face. But for now, let's circle back to Genesis. Even with this question of dominion kind of lingering out there, the chapter ends on this note of profound peace and completion. It's the seventh day, and God rests, declaring everything to be very good. It creates such a sense of harmony.
Yeah, it does. It's a really powerful image. God resting after that act of creation, this universe in perfect balance. But knowing what comes next in Genesis, of course, the Garden of Eden, temptation, the fall, it also kind of raises the question, was this harmony meant to last?
It's almost like a breath held before the plunge, isn't it? This perfect moment, poised on the edge of change. And with that thought, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. But I really hope this leaves you, our listener, with even more questions to ponder. How does this ancient story resonate with your own understanding of the world, of humanity's place in it, and the choices that we face today? Until next time, keep those questions coming, and keep diving deeper into the stories that shape our world.